hospital sponsors mission trips to Honduras. And we've been going for 5 years now, and this is our 7th trip. The last 2 years we've gone twice a year. And Pan American Health Services, Inc. is the not-for-profit organization down there that runs a malnutrition center, an inpatient malnutrition center for children. And also out of that, they've had a need to build an orphanage. The reason for that is sometimes the children come to them malnourished and for whatever reason can't go back to their families. Families never come back and get them, or they can't afford to feed them, so they're going to end up in the same situation they were in, so they keep the children. So they've got they run between 18 and 30 children in the inpatient malnutrition center, where the children are severely malnourished and they're trying to get them healthy again. And then they have probably between 45 and 50 children in the orphanage. We call it an orphanage, but basically it's abandoned children's home. And so there's a big organization down there that does a lot of good. And like I said, we got hooked up with them about 5 years ago and started going down and taking a team of physicians and nurses and translators and other people. And we go down and we have clinic for 4 days. And usually we do it on the compound at Pan American Health Services the first day, and we see all the children and the workers and people from town that come in to see the doctors. And then the other 3 days, they take us on a little school bus and we go out into the country. We call it Banana Tree Clinic. You never know when you're getting it. Sometimes you're in a little schoolhouse and sometimes you're under a tree. But we go out, and one of the main purposes, besides taking health care to people that wouldn't otherwise get it, one of the main reasons that Pan Am hosts teams like us is because it gives them access in these remote villages to the children. Because everybody comes to see the doctor, and so they can eyeball, and see if there are children that are in danger of dying because of malnutrition, and then talk their parents into letting the children come for rehabilitation to the center. So, it brings everybody out of the woodwork, and so they can look at the kids and make sure everybody's healthy.
Where in Honduras is the children's home?
Peña Blanca.
How would you spell that?
That would be P-E-N-A, and Blanca is B-L-A-N-C-A. And they've been there for 50 years. And their website is panamhealth.org. And there's a lot of information on there about what they do, and there's even a few write-ups about our team that just got back and what we do. So what we're looking to do here at the hospital in support of them is, and this, was something that came to us like the last night we were there. Somebody said, why don't we, why didn't we think of this a long time ago? Is one of the ways that they raise money is that they have a relationship with a coffee grower packer group down there, and they sell the coffee to the orphanage at a set price, and then they sell it a little bit higher to us and to other folks, and you get to keep the profit, which is really great. And every time we've been, we've brought back suitcases full of coffee, to give away as Christmas gifts or whatever else. And it finally occurred to us, we have a gift shop here at the hospital. Why can't we sell their coffee in our gift shop, and the proceeds go back to them, because we think that would be good. And then while we were talking about the coffee, one of the other folks said, well, what about the baskets? One of the things that Pan Am Health tries to do is to break the cycle of poverty, because that's why the children are malnourished. There's a lack of education, there's lack.
Yeah.
But to get out of that, you've really got to have sustainable jobs, income for the folks. And so one of the things that they do at Pan Am is they have a technical school for older folks, adults. And they teach woodworking, they teach auto mechanics, they teach sewing, anything that would provide people with a continuing income, a way to support themselves. And one of the projects that they have is they've gathered several ladies that do basket weaving. And they've gotten the ladies to form a cooperative, actually. And so they put their resources together, and, they do a little advertising themselves, with one name instead of each little lady making her own basket, and they do, pretty good little job down there. So they're learning how not only to do something, to create artisan wear to sell, but they're also learning how to be business people. How to run a corporation, how to do the books, how to keep a bank balance, and how to support themselves. So with that, well, if we're gonna sell coffee, why don't we sell baskets? So it's kind of, grown into this thing that, now is one of my other jobs to do. But we've got a meeting tomorrow with the accounting people, because we don't know, does the money go through the hospital gift shop? Do we keep a separate cash box? I know nothing about that.
Mhm.
That's stuff I don't worry about. And so our accounting office is gonna come and meet with us tomorrow, and with us and with the lady that runs the gift shop, and to see if we can work out a way that won't be an imposition on them, when they run their business, but, we could do it and make it work, make the money flow cleanly. We don't wanna get into trouble while we're trying to do good stuff. So that's the deal.
Is Pan American Health Services just in Honduras, or?
They are in Honduras. They have an office in Keene, Texas, up by Dallas, which is basically their stateside fundraising office. They do their banking up here, and they're, send out fundraising, all their PR stuff they do from Keene. But it's all to support this one place in Honduras.
What is the name of the technical school in Honduras?
It's Stephen Youngberg, Dr. Stephen Youngberg Technical School. He's the man that founded the place, and he just picked up and moved himself and his family down there 50 years ago.
Aw, that's awesome.
He and his partner bought a big old tract of land back when it was just jungle. And his original intention, they lived on the border in Texas, and his original intention was to go down and set up a TB clinic. Because they had been doing TB missions in Mexico for quite a bit, and they got all the way to Honduras. They drove their little campers and stuff down to Honduras, and they found that TB wasn't a problem, but malnutrition was horrible. And so they changed their mind, and they said, okay, then we'll do a malnutrition center. And so it started, out of a little tent and a little camper 50 years ago.
Are they still down there?
It
All
is,
his relatives?
His daughter runs the Keene office, and his grandchildren actually run the orphanage.
Okay, so they do live
Yes.
in Honduras. Wow.
His daughter Nellie and his granddaughter Nellie and son Stephen both are full-time in Honduras, and they live there and run things. And then both Anita, who's one of the other granddaughters, and Nellie are nurses, and so they come back, and work as nurses to help support and to keep their licenses current. So they trade off, going down and managing things down there. And Stephen does all their office managing,
It's the business.
run the place thing. Anita and Nellie take care of the children, and Stephen does the office stuff. And then they have another sister, Susan, who lives here in the States and works with the home office.
Okay.
So it's a family affair, it really is. And Grandma, who's Dr. Youngberg's wife, widow, is still living.
Okay.
And
He's deceased.
He's deceased.
Okay.
He passed on about, I want to say 10 years ago or so. But then his wife was still living in Honduras full-time at the orphanage until she fell and broke her hip and had to come up to the States for rehab. But she's, itching to go home. So they moved down there to stay. It's quite a wonderful story, and a lot of that stuff is on their website.
So the coffee and the baskets are not yet in the gift shop, is it?
They're in my Honduras room right across the hall.
Is there a projected time for when they will be?
I would like to get it in there before the end of the year, but part of it has to do with the meeting that we'll have tomorrow with the accounting people. I mean, if it were me, I'd go down there and scoot some things over on the shelf and put them out right now. But, we've got to work out the logistics. But actually, what we did is the team that went, once we started talking about this, we said, okay, I know we're leaving tomorrow, but all of you that bought coffee, if you want to donate a pound or two to this cause, start with the seed money, basically. And, a lot of us bought baskets just because we wanted to support the ladies, not necessarily having anything we were going to do with them. And so, if you've got a couple of baskets that you don't really have tagged for anybody and you want to donate to this cause, we're taking them up. So we've got a shelf of coffee and baskets over in the room here ready to go. And Leonel, who's Nellie's fiance in Honduras, bought all the ladies on the trip hats, or at least ladies, straw hats, that we probably won't ever wear. So we're going to put them in the gift shop too. Just call that our startup business, and then the money we make off of it, we'll go back and buy more stuff and try to get it big enough that we start sending the proceeds down there.
Is there an estimated cost for the coffee and the baskets right now?
We purchase the coffee for $5 a pound,
Okay.
and we intend to sell it for 7 or 8, which is about what you get the Starbucks coffee
Yeah.
for at HEB. And this is much better than Starbucks coffee, by the way.
Mhm.
But not the flavory stuff, but real coffee. And the baskets, I don't know. I don't think any of us kept a record of how much we paid for them, so this first time we'll probably just, charge what the market will bear.
Yeah.
And then when we go back next time, decide on a markup, that's reasonable. But we got all that stuff, very inexpensively, so we could probably do a pretty good markup and get them some pretty good money back. Which is,
So the coffee producer benefits and then the orphanage benefits, and so
Mhm.
that's awesome.
yeah. Most of what this coffee producer does, and it's a co-op also,
Mhm.
coffee farmers all up in the mountains.
Okay.
And they bring their coffee there, and sell it to the co-op, and the co-op processes it and sells it. Most of what they do is pack, clean and pack raw coffee
Mhm.
and send it off to other people who roast it and produce it and, sell it in fancy labels.
Mhm.
But they do have, a side business of their own where they roast and prepare. And one of the things that the Pan American is going to do, and they hope to have it done by December, actually, is the coffee co-op is going to allow them to put the coffee that they sell in their own bag. And so it'll have Pan
That's
American
awesome.
logo, it'll have the Pan American brand on it to be sold as fundraising.
That's really good marketing for the
Yeah, it is.
nonprofit.
Yeah, it is. So, they have a real good relationship with these folks. So, everybody benefits. And that's what they're looking for, is to do things in the community where everybody benefits and try to, raise the standard of living, really, and to give children something to eat.
Does the coffee trader have a name as of right now? So the coffee that you have, does it have a label?
Yes, it
with
does.
Okay. What is the name?
St. Vincent Coffee, is that
Well,
correct?
that's the co-op.
That's the co-op. Okay.
Yes, but they sell it under the brand of Dorado. And I'll
Okay.
show you a bag of it. I was looking on there for a website for them, that kind of.
That kind of leads me into one question I wanted to ask. How can our project, what we're doing, benefit what y'all are trying to do?
I think that, having the coffee in the gift shop is a good thing, but if nobody knows it's there,
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal? And anything that we can do to raise awareness for people to even just go on the website and look at Pan American and what they're doing, I think it raises the exposure for Pan American. And, whether they buy the coffee or not, they may choose to, support them in some other way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we don't have a lot of stuff to sell right now. We're hoping that we can find a way to get it shipped in big boxes. But my biggest hope is that we can raise awareness, just kind of overall for them
Mhm.
by using this little hook to say, we brought these things back and we're going to be selling them, we're going to be raising money, and, go to their website and see what all kind of great things they're doing, and just raise the support for them.
Are y'all on, is Pan American on Facebook? And
Yes, they are.
Okay, great.
Pan American Health Services, Inc. on Facebook. And they've got hundreds of pictures of our trip that we just took on there. I've got a bunch too, but one of the guys that works in their office that maintains their website and does a lot of office stuff for them is a phenomenal photographer. And he just followed us around all week and took pictures. And so he gave me 1,400 pictures on a couple of discs before I came home. It's like, whoa. Yeah, I have got pictures.
You definitely
So-
documented the trip.
Oh, yeah. We have, and, everybody on the team, of course, has their own camera. And so, when I get back from these things, I ask the folks that went on the trip to send me their 10 favorite pictures, because I don't want all 2,000 of them. Send me the 10 favorite, and then I go to Shutterfly and make books of the trips. Just to kind of
Oh,
document,
that's
and anybody that wants
awesome.
one can get one, and it's just kind of a fun thing to
Nice.
have. So we do that with the pictures that come back, and that way everybody has a little memento, of the trip, and it's fun stuff.
We couldn't help but notice your Honduras May 2012.
Yep, there's always a piece of paper on my wall. No sooner than I get back, that I've already got people stopping in my office saying, put me down for the May trip, put me down for the May trip. So there's always a trip in the planning stage. And it probably takes, because I do really have a full-time job here at the hospital, it probably takes a good 4 months of planning, because we take all the medication with us. And so we get it from the pharmacy, and then we have to package it, put 25 vitamins in a little bag and have a label on it that says only take one of these a day.
Mhm.
And we do all that pre-packing before we go. And so I have a room set up across the hall where volunteers come in and help us sort medicines and, package them and get them ready, and that takes 4 months.
And how do you find your volunteers to help with that?
At the very beginning, it was like pulling teeth.
Really?
I had to beg people to go. But now I've usually got, when I first say, okay, we're ready to start the next trips, let me know if you want to go, I usually have 30 or 40 people that just immediately say, oh, I want to go. And usually it dwindles down to about 20 to 25 that actually end up going.
And so just staff around the hospital help with the packaging and the planning process?
Mostly our volunteers did that this year. We had junior volunteers during the summer,
Mhm.
the high school kids.
Oh,
And
cool.
they would sit over there and count vitamins for hours. So that was really cool, because that's a boring job. But, I put pictures on the wall in there to keep them interested, our past trips and, what they're doing and why it makes a difference, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's great for them too. I mean, volunteering is very beneficial,
Absolutely.
especially when you're at that age.
And it looks good on college resume.
Mhm.
But that's how we do it.
Did y'all have any concerns when you first went into Honduras for safety?
My team did, but I didn't. I grew up in Central America, and it's kind of like home for me. Probably the best, I would not be able to do this if we didn't have somebody like Pan American Health Services in Honduras, because they take care of, once we land, they've got all the plan. They've planned where we're gonna go and have clinic, they've talked to the local officials, they've, reserved a schoolroom for us to work out of, they've done all the legwork, so we don't have to do anything but show up with our medicine and our doctors, and then, they tell us where to go and we go. And that really saves a lot of, and having somebody down there that lives there, that knows the culture, that knows who they need to talk to, that knows.
They're actually like a part of the community.
You bet. And having people that already have the relationships and know what's going on. This last time, we took our CEO from the hospital and the San Marcos mayor.
Oh.
Mr. Short was telling us
Yeah.
about that.
And so he went down with us, so, their mayor wanted to have meetings with our mayor, and, it was a big old political, the rest of us just took care of patients, but, Mr. Hunegard from the hospital and Mr. Guerrero did a lot of meeting with local officials and, and it lends legitimacy also to Pan American Health Service to have important people, coming down to work with them. And down there, being a mayor is a really big deal. So we took our really big deal guys.
Where in Central America are you from?
Costa Rica.
From Costa Rica?
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
We went down when I was about 2 and stayed there until I was 16.
Uh-huh.
How did the CTMC group get paired up with Pan American Services in the first place?
Kind of by accident.
Really?
Our CEO at the time was Gary Jepson, and he had been at regional meetings with our other hospitals in Texas, and they were talking about taking a trip down to, somebody knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. You know how those go. And they were planning a trip down there, and he came back and said, why don't we go with them? That would be fun. And I said, okay. I started talking to Metroplex, who's the other hospital, and ended up that our schedules didn't work out, and, it was kind of hard to coordinate 2 things from 2 different hospitals. So I just told Gary, I said, if you want us to go, we'll go, but I'm just gonna go, take our own team. And he said, okay, go. So we did. So we did a lot of emailing back and forth that first time. I wasn't real sure what I was getting into, but after that first trip, I said, yeah, this is it. We're gonna keep coming back here because it works so well.
Have you experienced an increase in the number of people that you help down in Honduras each year that you go back? More and more people?
Actually, we did our first team that we took, we really weren't sure what we were gonna find. And we only had, we had a team of 18, and we split it. Half of them were construction workers and half of them were medical people.
Oh, okay.
And they were building a dorm for the girls in the orphanage. And so half of our team, laid concrete bricks and did construction stuff, and the rest of us did medical. And that first year, we saw 500 patients in 4 days.
Wow.
And then the year after that, it was 938, and the year after that, it was 1064, and the year after that, it was 2056. And
Just gonna-
it kind of keeps going. You know, word gets out
Mhm.
that we're coming. Those were the 2056 and the 1462, 1960. Those were with larger teams. I had like 22 to 25 folks on the team. This past time I only took 18. It was a smaller team, but we still saw 1,356 patients this last time. So, and the really cool thing, you talk to we love seeing the patients, and we see them all day long, every day. But I think the thing that touched us the most was we found 3 children that would probably be dead if we hadn't been there. 2 were severely malnourished that we took back to the malnutrition center. My little angel on my screensaver is one of them. This is Alicia.
Oh.
And she and her little brother went back to the malnutrition center with us. And then the first day we were there, a lady brought in her baby that hadn't been eaten in a couple of days. He was only 13 days old. And was so dehydrated that, the nurse looked at the baby and went, we're going to have a dead baby if we don't do something. And we started an IV, and we put the baby in the truck with the nurse and drove them an hour and a half to Peña Blanca, where the hospital is. They couldn't have gotten there. And, the baby stopped breathing a couple of times on the way, and, it was really close to being dead baby. And they got there and put it on oxygen and gave it some antibiotics, and 3 days later went home healthy. So, those are the things you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, the gift of life is pretty
Yeah.
priceless.
It is. So anytime, most of the time, I think there's only been one time that we've gone that we haven't found children that needed to go to the malnutrition center. That's usually something we do every time. But usually, most trips, we at least have one kind of emergent thing like we had with this baby where, people in trouble, there really are no resources. There's no hospital, there's no clinic, there's a public health clinic, but it's only staffed like 2 days a week, and the rest of the time it's closed. And basically what they do is, the government spends a lot of money on immunizations and birth control, which is good, but they got no money for treating sick people. So we kind of feel like that with that. So you'll notice when we go down, most of the children have had their immunizations, which is really great. But they're sick.
What was her name again?
Alicia,
And how old is she?
she's 7. And when we found her, it was the last day of clinic, we were there. And when we found her, she just has this look of, totally checked out, just kind of glazed look. She wouldn't talk, really wouldn't make eye contact with you. She just kind of sat. And it took us, I've got pictures here. This is what her little legs looked like.
Oh.
And that's just from the malnutrition. They swell up and they blister just because the blood vessels can't hold the fluid anymore because there's just not enough nutrition.
How many days do you think she had gone without eating?
Oh, years.
Years? I mean,
with-
off and on.
Yeah.
But
What she did have in her hand when we got her, I don't think I have a picture of that, but she had a, what we call an achote. It's kind of like a potato. You can see that there, but it has no nutrition. It's like eating water. And that's probably what she ate. It made her feel full, but it has no nutritional value. So she was in really bad shape. And so it took us about 45 minutes to clean off her little legs and get them bandaged. That's us doing that. And then we took her back to the clinic, and this is her 24 hours later. We had before we go home, the institution is run by Seventh-day Adventists, so they have church on Saturday. So we always go to church on Saturday with the kids, and then after church we have piñatas for them, and that's the day we leave. And she was still kind of sitting in a corner, not communicating a whole lot that day. And I went over and sat with her for a little while and asked her, if she wanted to go see the piñata. And at first she wouldn't answer me, wouldn't look at me. I just sat there. And then I said, "Are you sure you don't want to go see the piñata?" And she finally looked up, put her little hands up. So I picked her up and we went to see the piñata.
Oh.
She ended up eating 2 pieces of candy and talking about the piñata. So she was talking about 24 hours later.
oh wow.
So they said that the day after that, after we left, that Nellie wrote us and said that she was doing a lot better. She's actually smiling and asking for bread. So
Good, wow.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And is she an orphan?
No, she has
Oh,
parents.
she does have parents. Okay.
The father in the household is not her father.
Okay.
And he is the father of the other three children. She's the oldest. And that probably has, and she's a girl. The father that belongs to her actually left the mother and took the boy with him, but left the girl. So she's kind of an unwanted child. And probably got the hand-me-downs of the hand-me-downs of the hand-me-downs and the last scrap of food if there was one, just because just an unwanted child. And that's just, the reality of life. So now she's at Casita Feliz, which is the malnutrition center, which means happy house. And she's loved and fed and cleaned. She got a nap and a clean clothes. That little dress looked like it hadn't seen a pail of water in months. It was a little horribly ragged, but that's what we do. So.
That's really awesome. And I guess my last question regarding the coffee again. Are there any plans on, if this goes well, selling it outside of? And if so, where are you thinking about?
I'm trying not to think
Okay.
a lot. I do have a full-time job. But Sam and Daniel Guerrero, the mayor, are already talking about talking to HEB and talking to some jobs and
Wow.
talking to, I said, okay, boys, if you want to go that big, y'all handle the details. I'm going to go down and put Band-Aids on the children. But yeah, they've got big plans.
Okay.
They've just got to work out, how to import it, basically, because it'd be an import business at that point.
Mhm.
And that's like way beyond my pay grade. I don't do import export. I do medicine, but whether it will go anywhere or not, I have no idea. But I can handle the gift shop. But if they want to do more, somebody else is going to have to handle it. Yeah, it could turn into something really big, but
Yeah. It takes a lot of work.
yeah.
And dedication.
That's I'm into taking doctors and nurses down there. I'm not really into selling coffee. So.
Pan American Health Services is a Christian organization.
Yes, it is. It's a Christian, non-denominational organization. Dr. Youngberg and his family are Seventh-day Adventist, and that's what they practice on the compound. But his partner that helped him buy the land and all was Episcopalian, so they decided to make it non-denominational in the beginning, and it works well.
And the kids go to church once a week,
Oh, they go to church several times a week.
several times a week.
They have a church service on Wednesday night that the children actually lead. The older children lead the singing and do the preaching, and it's a service for children. Very few adults are there, but
Okay.
all the children go. And then they go Friday night. They have Vespers. Their Sabbath is sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, like the Jewish Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
And so Friday evening they have a Vesper service, mostly the children, and then Saturday, the whole church meets, the adults and the kids and everybody. Yeah, and I make my team go to Sabbath church and sit through it in Spanish. It's good for them. Most of the time we have somebody that can translate, but it's, benches are hard, especially when you don't understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it builds character.
So if you could just say one thing to the average person buying a bag of coffee, how does this affect the life of one of the Hondurans that is being impacted by this?
You're feeding Alicia. Yeah, she's my new little angel. And it's because they are able to raise money and support themselves that they can take children like Alicia out of extreme poverty and extreme malnutrition and bring them back to health. So that coffee feeds this child.
Yeah, it is a small price to pay, I guess.
It is.
For one precious life.
It is. You're feeding children. And every child on the Pan American Health Services campus goes to school. Once they're old enough to go to school, and they go to a private school. The Pan Am pays the tuition for them to go to school because they want them to have a good education, because that's the key to getting out of that cycle of poverty. And as long as they've had several of their children that have grown up, gone to college, gone to nursing school, come back and actually do the healthcare on the campus. There's one, Lucita, who went to nursing school. When we first started going, she was in nursing school, and she now runs the clinic. And so you see that then they're coming back and not only helping the community, but working for Pan American Health Services that raised them. So it's pretty cool.
Didn't you say on the phone that one of the local nurses had, it was her husband who was making the coffee, and that's how that kind of started between the orphanage and then the coffee producers?
That wasn't me.
Okay.
If Sam and Daniel got that story and told Mr. Short, then that's one I haven't heard.
Well, how did the coffee producers and the orphanage, the Pan American get associated?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know the story. It's, in all of their meetings they went to, with the mayors and the people in the community, they learned a lot that I never knew.
Mhm.
Our mission is so focused when we go. That's what we're doing. We don't spend a whole lot of time chit-chatting with the neighbors. But they chit-chatted all week and got a whole lot of information that I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. But, it may be on their website somewhere. But Nellie Youngberg is the contact that we use. She's actually day-to-day managing the orphanage there. So if you email her questions, I'm sure she'd be glad to. Because I told her that I was going to do this project, and I needed some information on the co-op that the ladies had formed, and more information on the coffee relationship. And she said she'd get it to me, but she hasn't sent it yet. Okay. So as soon as she sends me that stuff, I can forward it to you on email if I get your email. And then
Definitely. We can leave our emails. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy
I was
day.
going to ask, may I get the spelling of her name?
oh, sure. It's ALICA. ICIA. Alicia.
ALICIA?
Uh-huh.